Taebyn, what are you talking about?
I have no idea, and thanks for asking.
This is Bearly Furcasting, featuring Taebyn, an Injured Nerves audio production.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Dun,
Hey,
dun. Hey,
here we are. Once again, hi there. Hi,
Hi.
I'm Barely Normal, and you are?
And I am Taebyn. I'm a pup, bark bark, and this is nice that we introduced ourselves in the beginning, unlike the last time.
The last time where we waited 15 minutes in to say, hey, who are you people?
What am I listening to? I don't even know.
I don't even know what I'm listening to. But here we are in our podcast, our third edition.
Oh my
So
cow.
maybe when we're up into the hundreds, I'll stop telling people which one it is. I don't know.
Maybe.
So,
It's hard to count that high.
it's hard to have. So how have you been this week?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Yes. Well, so I did work on my tail a little bit more.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I worked on chasing to try and catch. I haven't done it yet, but I'm still working on it.
So did you switch it up at all? Because we saw a lot of links sent to us this last week. Our listener must have been really busy.
Our one listener definitely.
Our one listener definitely was very busy because there was like 8 or 9 links that came in of other dogs chasing their tails.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good advice. And I've studied them and focused on every single one to try and see if I can find the right aspect. Now, I noticed some of those other doggies were successful. And I was like, okay, this is successful. I can do it. Not everyone was, but I tried to get a new technique out of every single video.
I did notice that most of them were chasing it counterclockwise.
Ah, yes. So maybe the clockwise.
The ones that didn't catch it were all counterclockwise. The ones that did were clockwise.
Oh, there's something.
There's something there.
I'm going to have to try that out.
You might have to sneak up on it.
So I bet combining the clockwise nature with a sneak up pup, I can be a sneak up pup. I'm excited about a sneak up pup. Sneak up.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Sometimes though, my tail, he sits there and he's taunting me. He like just kind of fluffs and then he wiggles a little bit and he's just taunting me. He's like, here I am. He doesn't say it quite like that because that's not really how my tail talks, but he's just sitting there and waiting for me. And then I try and pounce and then he's gone.
As soon as you try to pounce, he disappears.
He disappears. It's craziness.
Magic.
It's magic fluff.
Joining us today, we have our very first interview.
Very first. It's so exciting.
I know. We're going to have Gabriel from Anthro Northwest. But before he shows up, I want to ask you about a certain thing. When we were at BLFC, we did a live interview show.
Taebyn Talks with
Talks with. And one of the things you asked all the guests and the audience was if they had ever had a Hinderfruit.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was a very important question. Yes.
And I have not been able to find a Hinderfruit.
Well,
anywhere.
they're kind of like my tail. They're a little bit elusive, but they're there. They're sometimes kind of hard to find. So if you happen to find one, you should stock up and don't pass that by. It's worth every moment.
Awesome. Have you had one?
Yes, I have had the opportunity once. As I say, they're very rare. Several years ago, I came across a Hinderfruit. He tried to run away from me, but I caught him. Maybe I should apply that to my tail strategies. It was a hymn.
Oh, okay.
It's something that you sing in church. It was a hymn.
Well, I see Gabriel is in our green room ready to be interviewed. So
yes,
we're gonna start chatting with him. All right. Well, with us today is Gabriel, the president of Anthro Northwest. Welcome, Gabriel.
Hey, thanks.
Hi, Gabriel. It's so good to see you or hear you. I guess I'm just hearing you.
Hey, Taebyn. I'm so excited to hear you too.
Yay! We're all excited to hear things and people stuff.
Taebyn, do you want to ask him some questions?
I would love to ask him some questions. So, Gabriel, how long have you been in the fandom?
It's kind of hard to tell. I think I was kind of born a furry.
Oh, yeah.
I always really gravitated towards animals and soft things. And I don't know, I even made a fursuit in 2002.
Wow, you're creative.
I don't know. I just really wanted a fursuit. I don't know what reason why, but yeah. But in 2015, I actually I found you guys, and it was awesome.
You found us, guys.
Were we lost?
I was.
But he was lost, but he found us. You see how that works.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you found us. Thank you. So what brought you to the fandom?
It actually was a really big life change. I got fired and had the
Oh.
most amazing midlife crisis ever.
Great. That sounds just awesome.
I've never heard of a midlife crisis being described as awesome, but
It was wonderful.
Or amazing.
I would recommend it for everyone.
okay.
Good.
But that was an opportunity to get completely burned out on my regular work and everything I had been doing all my life. I used to just work like all the time. That's like all I did. Every day, get up, work, go to bed. And my grandma's like, you should have some fun sometime. I'm like, well, I like my job or whatever. And then I got canned. And I was like, oh, like there's nothing to do. And all my work friends are like gone. And it was, I like couldn't touch my soldering iron. It was really hard.
Wow. But your friend has been your friend for like ever. You couldn't do it.
I don't know about a friend, but it was a tool. I couldn't do my thing. But I had free time. So I was like on the internet and I found Fur Life, which is the local Seattle furry group thing. I'm like, wow, these guys have like costumes like my fursuits. It looks like this might be cool. So the next event was the Rainforest Christmas party.
Oh.
And that was the one right after the last Rainforest. So I asked them like, can I come to Rainforest Christmas party? I've never been to Rainforest, so I wasn't like sure what it was about. And they're like, oh yeah, anybody can come. And so I went to that and kind of fell in love with the people there. And I met my best friend at that too.
You did? Are you still best friends with?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
That's wonderful. I think I know who that is too.
You probably do.
So what was your first, it wasn't Rainforest, but what was your first con then?
That was BLFC, and that was the 2016. And it was amazing. Like,
I bet.
And BLFC is a fun convention. Like, that's a great starter one. But it was kind of like walking inside of a painting and being a part of that. It was just so happy and joyous and relaxing.
And fluff.
And yeah, it was soft, right? Everybody and hugs. And I was like, back then I was like a don't touch me person. And
really,
you cannot be a don't touch me person in the furry fandom.
I mean, you can, right? They exist. There's
but...
no hug people, and that's okay. But like being around the furries and having the fur and hugs, like that was really special because it helped me become comfortable with touching things.
Good. Yeah. No, that's fun. And you love it.
I do. I like it a lot.
I have a feeling if you were there and at the same time that Taebyn was there, he would have chased you around to hug you.
Oh, you would have. You wouldn't have most likely embraced the hug a lot sooner, no matter if you liked it or not. I mean, you know me, Gabriel. That
yes.
And actually, my first con was actually Furlandia 2016. So that was, I think, probably a few weeks after BLFC. So we're kind of first con fluffs. FCFs. How long have you been the president of ANW?
I founded it in like May of 2016. It was actually right after BLFC because like at the Rainforest Christmas party, they're like, no more convention and so I was like, oh, these are really nice people. They should have a convention. And then I went to BLFC and I'm like, they have to have a convention in Seattle. This is the best thing ever. So it was like 15 days after BLFC, the organization was founded. And
how big is ANW?
I mean, it's like the 12th largest furry convention. I think last year we had like 1,600 people, but I mean, the most important part is to be big on love and community service. Like numbers, they're not a really big deal, but I'm super excited about like the number of wonderful people that come and the amount of good they do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. And I should, in case our one listener out there does not know, ANW is Anthro Northwest Fur Con that started up in the Seattle area, as Gabriel just said, because we keep saying ANW, and so maybe no one knows.
The first time I heard ANW, I thought you were talking about the root beer restaurant.
Yeah, right.
I was like, what are you going to?
Is this like a new furry subculture or something?
Yes, the root beer subculture of furry.
Root beer furs. We should all start the root beer furs. Who's with me?
We do have pictures of Andy drinking A&W root beer at the Christmas.
Well, there you go.
He's our mascot for people who don't know Andy.
Andy the mascot.
Yeah. Andy's wonderful. How long has it been around? Well, you said since, how long has it been around?
May of 2016. So that's about 4-ish years. We've had, we started and then we had the con. So we've had 3 conventions so far, and then we're hopefully, big fingers crossed, it'll be okay.
Big pauses crossed.
Yeah. If we can, November, like late November of 2020, but who knows what's going to happen. So either
it's
way.
all crazy. Yes. So what do you think is the single most unique thing about A&W?
I hope I can be naughty and give 2 answers.
Oh, you're so naughty. We'll let you do it.
Thanks. You're the best. So the first things that's pretty unique is the all ages inclusivity. Like Anthro Northwest is a con that you can bring your kids to, kids bring their parents to and their grandparents and stuff like that. So the actual convention environment, it's very comfortable for pretty much anybody.
That's awesome.
That's a real good thing.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. And then the other thing I think that's really unusual is the focus on internal beauty. Because in furry, people think costumes and the external beauty and artwork and stuff like that. But we have a strong humanities program, and we try to cultivate the inner person and bring the beauty that's on the inside of people to the outside to share.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. And I can attest because I've been to every A&W since the beginning. So and each time, I see that definitely. So I agree. And the dream is coming true and has come true. So what is the hardest part of sharing or being president of a big event like this?
It really varies based on the year. And it also varies as you get more experience. When we started out, the social media abuse was really difficult, and I had never participated in social media before.
Okay.
It really hurt a lot. But then I kind of got used to what social media was, and then the community support and perception of the convention really changed a lot. So, nowadays people seem to really love the convention, and they're very supportive.
Yes.
And they're good to us. And I have a lot thicker skin because I've been able to put social media a little bit more in the perspective it should be and not take it so personal.
For every one negative, there's 20 positives out there. But the positive people don't tend to jump on and say things positive on social media.
No, that's true.
I would like to encourage the fandom. Not for me, don't worry about me, but we've got some really exceptional leaders in the fandom. I've watched con chairs just get destroyed on social media and they left. I would just encourage people to think about how words make people feel, and just remember that 99% of your con chairs, they don't get paid. It's all volunteer. And the only reason they do it is because they love the people in the fandom.
Yeah.
So if you're supportive and kind, that attracts good leadership and kind leadership. And, that's something we can all benefit from.
Absolutely.
It's a great cycle that it feeds on each other and just gets better and better. So, exactly. What's the easiest part of being a president or of an event like this?
It's the people. We just have people just show up all the time, and they're these amazingly talented, kind, loving human beings. So, finding good staff in the fandom, it's really easy because there's people are already, if you're in the fandom, you're probably charitable, you're probably creative, you're probably kind, or some of those attributes, right? It just seems like the fandom has already pre-selected people that are really easy to work with and give a lot. It's wonderful.
Yeah. It's great. A&W, you mentioned A&W 2020, you mentioned Cross Posies will be late November. What are the exact dates this year?
It's going to be November 19th through the 22nd. So it's right before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And it's kind of fun because we have a Thanksgiving feast and stuff. So you get to have your pre-Thanksgiving furry version, and then you can go off and do it with your parents again.
Yeah,
so it's great.
Nice.
You get the best out of the way first, I guess.
We're hoping that the restrictions will be lifted by that time and we can actually attend.
Yeah.
I hope so too. I really want to go.
Yeah. You do? Well, that's great. Me too. Yeah, I remember last year it was also just before Thanksgiving, I think, and there was a big, huge feast. There was a lot of people that showed up for that, and it was a very successful event. So, how can furs or non-furs attend A&W? What's the best way to get in touch and register?
Definitely good to check the website. And like, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, we might have limited capacity because we have to have more spacing between people and stuff like that. So we really encourage pre-registering to ensure there's a spot for you. It's like all refundable. Check out our COVID-19 policy if we have to like reschedule, but it's very generous policy.
What is the website, Gabriel?
Oh, it's anthronorthwest.com.
Awesome. Thank
Just
you.
like that. There's been 1 or 2 years where you actually had to cut off registration for people that weren't pre-registered. Right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, we do that. One of the unusual things about Anthro Northwest is we cap the registration based on how many volunteers we have. And there's really two reasons for that. Like, we want the guest experience to be exceptional, but we also want the staff experience to be really good. Because if you spread things too thin, it can become stressful and really hard. So by limiting the number of people and having lots of staff, typically it's like 1-to-10 ratio, we can ensure like it's a happy event and everybody feels good, including the people putting it on.
Yeah, I agree. It's just been really great. And there hasn't been too many people that have been turned away on when they try to register. So we've been able to pretty much accommodate most everyone. So that's really great.
Gabriel, our time is getting close to over. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our one listener?
I could ask Taebyn a question.
Oh my cow. I guess you kind of actually, in a way, already did just now, but I guess I can.
Another question, 2 questions.
Okay, I'll allow another question. Sure. Why?
Thank you. I was wondering, you've been in the fandom for like 4 or 5 years. What aspect of your being has really benefited the most from your involvement in the fandom?
I think you actually kind of hit on it in a way before. One of the really great things about the fandom that I find is how nice, and not just nice, but supportive and loving and caring we all are. The fandom is just so great. And I think for me, and I think a lot of furs can probably say this too about themselves, is that a big thing that the fandom does for them is helps them feel like a good fur, they can stand up tall and know that there's actually people out there and other furs out there and other animals out there to help them. And that's just a really great feeling to just not be alone and feel loved from those that you haven't even known very long at all. I mean, you can go to a con and meet some furs that you've never met before, and it can happen very easily that instantly you feel like you're a part of something that you should be a part of. And that's just an amazing feeling to have. And I think that's one big thing that I definitely have benefited from the fandom.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
Thank you for asking. Thank you so much. You're beautiful.
Gabriel and Taebyn, you're both beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Stop that, Fluff. Oh, my Lord. Okay. We're making my Fluff blush.
Very blush.
Well, Gabriel, thank you for joining us. You are our very first guest on this podcast. And again, if our listener would like to attend Anthro Northwest, they can go to the website, anthronorthwest.com, and register to attend. And we will talk to you, hopefully, in November in person.
I'm hoping to see you in November in the Fluff.
Me too. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Well, that was so much fun talking to Gabriel.
That was very awesome. Yes, very possum, even as it were.
Very possum.
I've known him for a little while now, and it's always great to see and talk to him.
He's got a lot of energy, much like you.
Yes, maybe that's why we get along so well, because we bounce around and things like that.
But speaking of cons, we were talking about Anthro Northwest, and unfortunately this week we have sad news to report. And for those that have attended, a warned listener may not know this, but Spokane Throw. This was going to be their second year, and they unfortunately had to cancel.
Yeah,
they were going to be in July, but the phased opening of the state is not going to allow for large groups in July yet.
Ready. Yep.
So they, instead of trying to move it later in the year, I guess they're just going to forego and hope for 2021.
It's sad, but also I think it was the right move. And I was actually talking to the con chair, Lemnius. I always pronounce his name wrong. How do you pronounce his name?
That is how you pronounce his name. Yes.
Lemnius? I did it.
Yes.
Lemnius. So Lemnius, if you're listening, be proud of this pup for actually saying your name right. I'm so proud of myself. But yes, I was actually talking to him the other day about it. And yes, we both said, yeah, we're sad. Of course, I went last year. It was a great con. We all had a good time. Bearly also went.
It was a very great time. Yeah.
It was a very great con. It was a small startup con, but it was really great. Everyone had a great time and everything.
Yeah, I've reached out to him. He's going to be on our pod here in the next couple of weeks.
That's right. That'll be exciting. That'll be fun.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
He's a good guy. I like him.
Yeah. So what have you been watching on TV this week?
Yes. Last week I said I was watching, what was it called? I do not like this, about the young girl with her budding supernatural powers.
I'm not okay with this.
I'm not okay with this. Sorry, yeah, I'm not okay with this. Yeah, and that was good. There is indeed only one season, and I finished that season. I'm excited. It ended pretty. Yeah, I want to watch the next season, definitely. Don't know when it's going to come out. This week, I started the next season of Young Sheldon. Have you heard of Young Sheldon?
I have. That's one of my favorite shows. Yeah.
It's a pretty good one, yes. So for our one listener, in case you haven't heard, Young Sheldon is Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory, but I think he's 8 years old. Something like that. Yeah, he's young. And of course, he's a genius and everything. And so it's about Young Sheldon, which, man, he can be a little annoying, actually. I mean, go figure, Young Sheldon Cooper, annoying. What? Yeah.
No.
But I had seen it before. I had gotten through all the seasons, and they just came out with a new season relatively recently. My talking is bad. So My Little Pony, Friend is Magic. Barely. I know you don't watch it, but you've heard of it.
No, I've heard of it. Yes.
They have 9 seasons, which are done. There's no more. I finished it. It is sad, but 9 seasons is a lot. But I finished off that season just the other day, I think, and it was great. I tweeted about this too, but the finale is really great. Actually, there's kind of 2 finales in a way, and they're both really great, and it didn't disappoint me. I was really happy with what they did there. So
that's good. That's good.
That's been my watching this week.
Yeah, I started watching a show on HBO called Animals.
Oh, really? I have not heard of this.
It's an animated show. I'd say it's more PG-13 than adult oriented, but it's on HBO.
This pup can watch it then?
You could watch it. Yes.
Okay, good.
Every episode is a little bit different. It deals with different animals. They're all tied together being in New York City. The latest one was a goose that tried to pawn himself off as being a swan.
Oh, scandalous.
Kept saying he was a black swan. So
there's so much scandal. Well, it's New York, so I mean that makes sense.
Right.
I might have to check that out. So is it a new series?
No, it's been on for a number of years.
Oh, really?
But it's on HBO. You can dig through and find it. Yeah.
Animals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Animals.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now that I finished My Little Pony and everything, like I need other things to watch during lunch now. So
there you
I'll
go.
have to check that out. Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to start bringing into our pod, if we can get enough, is Furries in the News.
Yes, this sounds like good. I like this idea. Yeah.
So Furries in the News. Cue the news music. I don't know if you've heard about this, Taebyn. It's called thisfursona.doesnotexist.com.
That's a big name. Thisfursona.doesnotexist.com. I actually have not heard of this. So tell me all about it.
It's actually pretty cool. This guy named Arfa, who's Arfa, A-R-F-A. He's in Seattle, and he programmed an AI to look at hundreds of thousands of pictures of furries and then create original fursonas, portraits of furries based on all of those things. And so
it looks at like images of fursuiters and other fursonas and things on the internet, and it bases it off that?
I believe so, yeah. And,
that's pretty cool.
And each one of the fursonas that it generates a constant, what would you call it, a grid on the if you call it up, you'll see this grid moving across your screen slowly. All the different fursonas there, and you can click on one. It'll bring up a big picture of it in the center.
Okay.
They're free to use if you want to use it and pictures or
Okay.
anything like that. Everything, it's all free.
Okay, that's so if some fur needed like inspiration in
Absolutely.
creating or adding to their fursona or something, this sounds like a great resource.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. There are no scalies and there are no ponies, which is sad, but mostly foxes and wolves, and I found one bear.
Okay,
But
are
yeah,
there pups? There are doggos?
there are lots and lots and lots and
Okay,
lots of doggos and pups.
that's the main thing, right?
Yeah, and some of them are actually pretty. I think I sent you a couple of pictures. Some are
Yes.
pretty. Some are. The one picture is really, really good. That's all generated by a computer. No person
That's
generated those
amazing.
pictures.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's really good. Yeah, there's some really good. And you said it's free, so it's non-copyright and everything, so you can just use it if you need.
Yep. And he puts that right
Okay.
out there. It says it's non-copyright. Go ahead and use whatever you want.
That's really
So-
cool. It's things like this that just add to the fandom. And it's like we were talking with Gabriel about in that interview, that the fandoms is so great and like supportive and like they're helping each other out. And this is just one of those many good examples of that. It's like, I don't need money for this. I want to help people out. I want to just be supportive of the fandom and the furries out there.
I checked out his Twitter, and he's got a lot of fur stuff on his Twitter as well. And
Cool.
it's Arfa at Twitter.
Arfa is at Twitter. Okay.
Twitter. There you go.
Cool. I'll have to go check that out.
That now brings us to our this or that. And this is the one part of our pod that Taebyn does not get any advanced knowledge of.
I have no idea what's going on right now. So
he gets no advanced knowledge as to what I'm going to ask him. So, a trip to the ocean or a trip to the mountains?
Well, so this is a tough one, because this pup is extremely scared of heights. So if the trip to the mountain can include like enclosed, like if I'm going to go on a hike, it's got to be an enclosed kind of foresty thing and there's no cliffs.
So you don't like cliffs?
I don't like cliffs. I don't like high places. I do like the forest. I like rivers and oceans and things like that. Pretty and run around squirrels and stuff. So I'd have to go with mountains, but with a caveat, if it's going to be one with scaries, it's going to be the ocean.
And anybody that listened to us who's named Cliff, he wasn't talking about you.
No, I'm sorry if I just offended any Cliff that came by.
Okay. Kung Fu or karate?
I have to go karate, because I've been known to do a little bit of practice fluff in the way of a type of karate called Shotokan. It's an ancient Japanese art of karate.
So are you a fluff belt?
I'm definitely a fluff belt. That fluff is very white, but I am a fluff belt.
Nice. Corn or green beans?
You're asking tough ones, because, this pup loves them both. Kind of depends on the mood. Have you had the white corn, Bearly?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, the white corn is actually really good. I'm liking it. So if I had to choose between white corn and green beans, probably white corn. But again, it depends on what I'm having with it and the day. It's really the fresh green beans are really good too. So you're really, wow, this is tough.
Well, you got to pick one.
Oh, I do. I haven't picked one yet.
You have to pick one. Pick one.
I'm going to go with corn.
There you have it, folk. Corn.
Folk. Just because it's the one listener.
Only
so
one
it's just
listener. That's the folk, yeah. Okay. And our final if or if that, or then, whatever. Sausage or bacon?
I could go either way, but I'm going to have to go bacon.
You heard
That's
it
a lot
here,
of work.
folks. That was a lot of work. You had to make decisions.
I did. That was tough. And they were tough decisions.
Tough decision. Well, I want to thank our listener for listening once again. Taebyn, it's always a joy to have a podcast with you.
Well, thank you. It's always a joy to have a podcast with you. And Bearly, can I ask you, last week you mentioned something about websites and everything. I just thought I'd touch base and see how that's going.
Well, we do have bearlyfurcasting.com up and running. Good. It only just points to our podcast right now. It's a start. We do have our Bearly Furcasting at Gmail. If our listener would like to send us an email, they can do so there. We have a Facebook, Bearly Furcasting at Facebook. And then if you go there and you want to help support Taebyn and I to make this podcast, you can use the Buy Us a Coffee link. And for a mere $5 donation one time, you can help support the podcast.
Help support. And we should probably make a Twitter or something too.
We should probably make a Twitter. Well, Taebyn, this is so much fun all the time to do with you. And I'm looking forward to next week as well.
We've got another guest. Who is our next guest next week, Bearly?
Well, our next guest for next week is Cassidy Civet. He'll be joining us next week. So tune in for hearing us ramble with the things we ramble on and hearing Cassidy Civet.
And hearing us sane for once, I guess. I don't know. I know Gabriel's pretty sane, but
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bearly Furcasting is an Injured Nerves studio production. All opinions expressed here are those of Taebyn and Bearly, and neither received any commercial compensation for their opinions. The Furcast is recorded and edited by me, Bearly Normal, aka Mike Began. Opening, interstitial, and closing music by Shane Ivers through silvermansound.com. Taebyn can be reached on social media at TaebynPup on YouTube and Twitter.